So I'm going to model Chunk and Chew, the strategy, with a science passage. This one happens to come from PARCC. It's from the released items from the 2015 spring exam, and it's about the origin of the moon. So here, what's nice about this is the paragraphs are numbered. So I'm going to make paragraph number 1 my first chunk, and I've already done a little bit of this work, so I'm just going to walk you through what I was doing here. So in order to model the strategy for the students, what you would do is chunk out a piece of the text. So here I'm chunking paragraph 1. And then you would read it out loud and model your thinking as you're reading. There's no right answer. It's however you might do it, and whatever you might be thinking as you're reading, because we're all strong readers. And you're just giving the students permission to get stuck, or to have questions, or to interact with the text. And that's something that without your permission, they may think they can't do. They may think they need to understand everything the first time they read it through, and if they don't, they're frustrated and they stop. So here we have the big 3. Human beings have surely wondered about the moon since they had brains big enough to do so. That seems straightforward enough. Many cultures from ancient times to the present day have even worshipped it as a deity. So deity would be the first word I believe they would get stuck on. I would circle that word, and over here I made a little note that a deity is another word for a god. You might go on and say a god that people worshipped or even worship today, a little statue, anything. Anything can be a deity. The Greeks were perhaps the first to study our satellite scientifically, using Earth's shadow on the moon during lunar eclipses as a guide. Lunar eclipses might be a phrase that they haven't heard before, maybe they've never seen one, they don't know what it is. So I would circle it and then define it here in this little text box. And what I've done is made a note that's not going to come up as I'm standing here with you. So I made a note here, lunar eclipse, a partial to full covering of the moon. And then maybe even draw a little picture of the moon out here with like partially covered, just to give a little illustration. The 3rd century BC astronomer Aristarchus estimated it lay 60 Earth radii away. Radii might be a word that they have not heard before, or they don't think they've heard before. So they don't know. It's a math term. They're reading in science, so they might not transfer that skill. So radii, plural of radius, and here is that note on there. Let me see if it'll come up for me. So I just made a little note here. Radii, it's over here. Plural of radius, line from the center of a circle to the outside of a circle. And here it was a remarkable guess. In fact, distance varies between 55 and 63 Earth radii, or 220,000 and 250,000 miles. So here's a definition. It's a distance. And so they really just need to know that we're looking at a distance here when they're talking about how many Earth radii away. The biographer Plutarch went so far as to posit that people lived on the moon. Posit would be another word they would be probably not familiar with. So here I made a little note, an assumption or a guess. And they can look up these words on dictionary.com, use their phone, use an actual paper dictionary, ask someone, ask you, use their textbook. They just need to have permission to do these things because they don't do things without being told that they can. And so this is a strategy that they can use while they're reading anything, a textbook, an article, homework, a newspaper article, a magazine article, directions, anything at all, they can use this strategy. But they just need to know that it's okay. Good readers get stuck when they read, and it's okay. You get stuck too. They can get stuck. They just need to find out the answer before they move along. So if they're using the strategy and they're making their notes and they're circling, and even if they're not making their notes right away, but they're circling and underlining and then making their notes later, at least they know that they're getting through. And you can see visually that they're getting through this reading. Even if they don't fully understand what they read, they have questions, they've interacted with the text, and that is much more important than just reading the whole thing through, not understanding a thing, totally unfocused, and then they're just frustrated, and so are you. So hopefully using a strategy like this will ease some of the frustration, and hopefully it will help them become better readers in the long run.